welcome to Horse Center Wednesday Night Show. I'm Julie Ramjeet with my co-host at Swiss Army Sean. And David, you have to unmute. Let me unmute you here. We have the one and only David Fawkes.
Might be better off muted.
Well, I'm so excited. I have told Sean so much about you and just some of your stories that you shared with me. And I can't wait for some of the fans to hear, because I don't think they have an idea. Like, I had no clue where you had started when you told me, but I'm going to let you tell that story because you tell it best. So let's jump right in and take it back to the beginning. Tell the fans how you got started in horse racing.
Well, my parents owned a livery stable, which is basically just a riding stable. And we had about, in the summertime, we carried about 60 head. In the winter, we were down to about 30. And my dad had a friend that was a racehorse trainer. And one night, he was at my house drunk. Thank God he was drunk, because he probably wouldn't know any better. And he asked me if I wanted to be a jockey. And I weighed 99 pounds. Unfortunately, I'm not 99 anymore. I weighed 99 pounds, and I was at the track the next morning, New Year's Day, and I've been there ever since.
And it's not that was not the story you told me.
Well, that's the story. And then I moved on. And I broke some horses for this gentleman and this and that. And he, when he took me to the track, he gave me an opportunity to ride, to be a jockey. And I only worked weekends because I was still going to high school. And then once high school let out, so it lets out maybe June 6th in Illinois. By July 7th, I rode my first race. And I don't know how, but I won.
And how many of those races? There weren't many for you, right? How many?
Fortunately, for the racing community, I only rode 40.
40
rides. I won 2 races, some seconds and thirds. But it was a great experience because, you talk to a lot of trainers that, critique a race and this and that, and they've never sat on a horse. So the opportunity to ride some races, and you see a total different perspective.
So when do you think it clicked in your head that, okay, I checked off the bucket list as a jockey, but this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing?
Well, I got my trainer's license when I was 17, and I won a race. In fact, I won the first horse I saddled, won. And then I got a little out of control. The client moved on. And I was a vet's assistant. I was an exercise rider. I was assistant trainer. I worked in the parking lot at Gulfstream Park, Hialeah, Calder. I got some great opportunities to learn, all sides of the game. There isn't just the backside, but there's the front side. And now I'm an HPBA board member. So I'm, I see, the front side game as much as the backside.
And we bring that up often on the show to that more people outside of the backside and the race track community, need to be educated that there are many jobs and avenues that they can get involved in racing outside of the backside. So I'm glad you talked about that.
Oh, absolutely. There's colleges for racetrack management and stuff like that, and I think there's one in Arizona, and that kind of that focuses more on the front side, like racing office jobs and stuff like that. But those jobs are out there. There's plenty of opportunities on the racetrack. If you truly love the game, you will never go hungry. You'll always find something to do.
And let's talk about a little bit about where you're from versus where you're at now. From what the stories you've told me, it completely changed the pace.
Yeah, I was like I said, I was. My parents had a livery stable, so I basically led trail rides through the woods and taught riding lessons, taught people how to, you know, how to jump and how to, just basically ride a horse. I did that, through my younger years until I went to the racetrack, and then fortunately I had enough talent on a horse that I could, move right into exercising and stuff like that, which gave me a huge opportunity and a huge advantage when it came to training horses.
David, so you said you've never left the track. So do you ever have that moment that you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't want to do this anymore? Or do you have that moment that I never want to give this up when I have to retire?
Honestly, I think I could retire, and the biggest reason I think is because I'm not super happy the direction the game's going. Um, there's a lot of, I don't know. I don't want to be negative, but the game has gotten really, really tough. One of the biggest problems I think we have is a shortage of horses. Number one. I mean, I see the breeding stock going down and down. But at the same time, we have, and I'm not knocking them because, like, in my opinion, guys like Steve Asmussen, Todd Pletcher, they're brilliant trainers. They've got an unbelievable memory. I mean, I've spent time with Steve Asmussen, and some of the things that he does. I mean, he knows everybody's horses. He knows all his own. So those guys, not Steve, I'm going to leave him out of the equation. But some of these guys, these mega stables, they have so many horses and they don't run as often as they could. So it really hurts the size of the fields. All the way from Saratoga to, the lesser racetracks. We need to have more opportunities for these horses. And with these mega stables, I think they have a tendency to kind of hold too many horses. I don't think it's a good thing.
While you're on that subject, so when you have a horse, say you have a Bob Baffert horse, because you see it all the time out west where nobody wants to face him, do you look at that and go, okay, that's a mega horse, I do not want to put my horse up against that, or will you run your horse anyway?
Absolutely, because what will happen is you don't want to show your horse out chasing him. You don't want to, you want to, the most important thing to do is take care of your own animal. I've seen it happen year after year. People go in races and they go, you know what? That horse is going to kill my horse. And then instead of needing, a month between races, now he needs, 3 months between races. So there's 2 races you can't fill. You can't run your horses because you shell them out. And horses, they can only give us as much as they've got to offer.
Exactly. Let's go back to 2010. Probably, I don't know, you can speak for yourself. It's the highlight of your career, but big drama and winning the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Yeah,
it was a highlight. Just, a huge opportunity. To be honest, when we came into the barn, I didn't, he was just a plain brown wrapper, and I mean, he's one of the horses that did everything right. And that time I had him. I had a horse named Duke of Mischief, and then I had A Priority, and then I had Bahamian Squall. So there was about 3 years there where I just kept getting good horse after a good horse. It was really a neat. It was a great time in my career.
That was awesome. And one thing I think I love about you so much just as a trainer is you're never too good to ship out. You're never too good to go anywhere. I've seen.
No, you've got it. I always tell my clients, if the horse is good enough, he'll take us to the races we want to go to. And absolutely. I mean, I don't mind shipping at all. I made it to Charlestown.
Yeah, you ship. Yeah, you came to Charlestown and won. You've gone everywhere: Louisiana, California, New York, Florida.
Yeah, I think I won races at every track except for maybe California.
Wow. Would that ever be a goal of yours, or are you just, are you kind of Do you have any more
You go
goals?
to California?
Do you have any more bucket list horse racing goals, or are you kind of at the end?
We all want. Every trainer wants to win the Derby, at least an opportunity. When I first started training, I had an opportunity. I was on the bubble. I was number 20. I think it was 20 at the time, so I was number 21. Fortunately, nobody scratched because he wasn't the kind of horse that wanted to go a mile and a quarter, especially as a 3-year-old. He did set a track record going a mile and 1/8, but his best distance was probably 3/4.
Well, that's, I will say this, you have been a mentor to me since I met you, and you kind of changed my whole perspective on horsemanship at the racetrack. I grew up at the track, but obviously in West Virginia and the smaller East, mid-Atlantic. And when I came to David's barn the first morning, Sean, because I said I wanted to take my trainer's test at Gulfstream, that was the original plan. So I started shadowing his assistant, Israel. You would have thought that I had never been to the track. My jaw was on the floor. I felt like a fan, even though I knew I was there to work. I was like, just seeing the way his shed row was just so immaculate and clean. Everybody was happy. Everybody worked together, helping people, organization. I was just like, oh my gosh, it was a culture shock. That was also the first time I got to see a backside that was really dedicated to the horses. I thought it was so neat seeing the actual horse path up, and that they bathed the horses outside. And I didn't get any work done that day. I think I was just standing out there staring at everything like, oh my gosh.
But one of the things that I have to give so much credit to my assistant, Israel. I couldn't do it without him. The guy is unbelievable. That nothing gets missed. Nothing.
Yeah.
Everything from the employees' birthdays. He doesn't miss an employee birthday. They all get a little something. He goes and gets them a cake and, a couple of cases of soda and beer, and everybody's happy. And, but it makes a huge difference in the barn morale. He does just an amazing job for me.
He is. He's the one.
And you know what? Amy just made a comment. Peaceful people keep the horses peaceful. I've worked for people that are kind of like wild and crazy, and the horses are the same way. Believe it or not, the horses, act like they're the people that are around them.
We talk about that often with the energy. Horses picking up on energy and, being able to communicate. We get some comments sometimes, and we have naysayers, of course, because we're internationally broadcasted. And someone said that horses can't recognize people. And we kind of
very, very, very untrue.
Yeah.
I never believed it so much. I was working at Gulfstream Park as an assistant trainer for a lady, and we had a horse for a gentleman. He was a firefighter, and he walked into the barn, and those old Gulfstream barns were like 30 stalls on each side, so they're long barns. He barely got out of his car. This horse went crazy, screaming for this guy because he knew who owned him. He knew that guy was his friend. And as soon as you show up, that horse is like out of his mind to see that guy.
I love that.
When you see these things on the internet where, all this guy from the army, he hadn't seen his dog since the war, and they run to him and all. Horses are the same way. They appreciate us as much as we appreciate them.
Very much big dogs.
And they deserve all of our appreciation.
Yeah, I agree. And let's talk a little bit. Let's feed off of that. I always talk when we're talking with trainers to talk about the importance of aftercare and letting them down properly and making sure that they get into the right hands. Obviously, with you, most of them, when they're looking for aftercare, have first chance to come to my hands, and I'm so blessed. I've and I've rehomed. I've actually got not rehomed. I've got 3 at my home that I was supposed to rehome and fell in love
Might be
with.
time to start rehoming.
but either way, I mean, so I appreciate that you always do your part. But let's talk about the importance of that. Can you speak on that?
That's super important because, you know, with everything going on with PETA and everything, and it's really, I mean, I feel bad that the horsemen haven't gotten the credit that they deserve for. We've been looking for homes for these horses way before PETA was involved, way before all these aftercare facilities. We've been rehoming horses, and it's super important because they've done a job for us. We owe them that. If nothing else, we owe them that.
And I can definitely attest to you being the type of guy that will stop, whether it's a maiden or a winner, if the horse.
It doesn't matter; they're all equal.
Yeah, I've gotten a maiden and I've gotten a really nice racehorse. What was his name? More Adventurous.
More adventures, yeah.
What a nice form he had, but you know, his time was up and David stopped immediately, did the right thing. And I had one shipping up already and said, do you want another? And of course I couldn't say no.
The thing is with any of these horses, when you see an issue that you know is career ending, don't lean on them anymore. Don't ask anything because, you know, all they're going to do is get hurt and then their recovery's, you know, going to be a lot longer. So now more and more I see the horsemen as a group taking a positive approach to that. They don't, if the horse comes up with an issue that is not going to be, you know, he's not going to be able to race anymore, they don't play the games that may have been played years ago. Now they, you know, they get these horses in the right hands and they do the right thing.
David, how many horses do you have currently in your barn?
Right now I'm carrying about 30. But you know, during the winter time, a lot of horses get claimed. And so, you know, it takes, you know, in the spring, you know, I'll replenish again. I'll probably have 45 or 50 in the spring.
Okay, another thing I wanted to touch on, you and Julie kind of brought it up about you shipping. Do you have an approach with that to get the track comfortable to going to a different track? Like, what are some of the things you can do there to make sure the horse is ready to go at a different track?
Honestly, you know, get your horses finished. You can get them ready to go, make sure everything, you know, blood's in order and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not a big person on shipping in, you know, for an extended period of time because some of these horses, they get on a different surface and they can get a little body sore on you, which is no different than you if you're a jogger and you jog every day of the week. And all of a sudden tomorrow you decide, I'm going to go jog on the beach. And you get home and you go, man, I'm sore from running on the beach. What happens to horses too? You know, you can't expect them just to change surfaces and not feel some effects. So if you just race, usually you deal with those situations after the fact.
What do you think your biggest strength throughout your career has been as a trainer?
For the longest time, I did great with first-time starters. And it's kind of slowed down. And I can only attribute that to the fact that I'm not patting myself on the back, but I got on all the horses myself. I did all the gate schooling myself. Wesley Ward, he does all his own gate schooling. Who's better out of the starting gate than him?
Wow.
No one.
Right? No
Yeah.
one in the country, but he does it himself. And, you know, if you get out there and use, I mean, your employees they're all great people. I'm blessed with the employees that I have, but everybody's different. We all do things differently.
So,
sorry, Sean. I wanted to ask, compared to the mega barns you were talking about, you know, when I hear 30 or 40 head, that's a pretty big barn. So
yeah, but you got guys, you know, like Asmussen's probably got 400. Todd Pletcher's got 250, 300. And those guys, believe me, they're gifted to be able to do that. That is very, very difficult.
Yeah, how do they keep up with that?
I
mean,
don't
what's the
know.
what's the largest number you ever had?
Rasmussen's got, he might have 400, but he's got 50 at 10 different racetracks. I don't know how he does it. He's a brilliant guy.
Did you ever have multiple strings out from where?
Yeah, I did for a little while. I used to carry a string in Florida and a string in Kentucky or New York. I'd go to Saratoga and I'd go to Belmont, and then maybe go to Keeneland. So I had a shipping string, and then I had a string that stayed in Florida. Like your Florida-based horses.
What's the biggest?
Florida breds, the babies that were eligible for the Florida Stallion Stakes and stuff like that.
What's the biggest number of horses you've had at one time?
60.
Do you feel like you're just more of a hands-on guy? You want to be able to know, what?
I don't the big numbers aren't as good.
Yeah.
I don't care for the big numbers. If I can say 35 to 40 year round, I'm thrilled.
That's nice.
That's a perfect number for me.
So I have to ask this. It's a little bit more. I know the public probably doesn't know. You've got your farm up for sale in JV. So, that's been such a great thing for you to have, especially with the track and then bringing home letdowns if they needed a little bit of time. So if the farm sells quicker than maybe you're expecting, what's the plan? How's that going to change your operation?
I'll probably find something locally and try to I'll maintain the business the same. I've been fortunate enough. I have a house in the Keys, which I love. I love fishing. That's my golf. That's my time away. And a lot of people appreciate when you have a life aside from the racetrack. Some of your clients and some don't. And if you work 8 days a week, you're going to burn out. So you have to have an outlet. I mean, some of these guys, like I said, Wesley Ward, I heard an interview with him a couple weeks ago, and he said, "This is all I want to do. This is my life. I don't care what everybody else does. I'm going to do this till the day I die." So I more power to him if that's what he believes and that's what works for him.
You'd rather be fishing?
No, not necessarily, but you have to have an outlet.
Yeah. But do you see a stopping point? I mean, do you see yourself stopping really, or do you see this riding this wave of your career?
I'm going to ride the wave as long as I can. As far as stopping today, I have no answer. Because unfortunately, it's like anything. Your health, your employees, your clients, the racetrack, the direction they're going. You see it. I mean, racetracks. 1 minute they're doing great. The next minute they're closing down. So it's just hard to say.
And we have a question in here. We have a question that came in from Grandma Horse Racing. She asked how you got started, which she must have came in a little late. But she also asked, is it the same game now than when you started? If it's not, let's talk about the differences.
Not even remotely. I think a lot of God, I hate to use this word.
Hey, listen, we don't have to censor it. You're not being negative. You're being real.
I think there's a lot of unfairness in the game. Everybody wants a level playing field, and I think that's what the HISA thing is for. It just trying to keep the playing field level. But unfortunately, there's been a lot of rules put in place that have not been beneficiary. They've been negative, and how they're received. And, like me taking whips away from jockeys, bad call. Our basic therapeutic medications, trying to remove those from the game, a bad call. I mean, when you get up in the morning, you got a headache and you take a couple aspirin. Is that the end all? No. But, we have a group, part of the group are all saying, this isn't good for the game, blah, blah, blah. I don't see anything negative, but,
So as somebody that's been in as long as you're on the Florida BPA, you've got your hand in with, some people that are really impactful in the industry. When you talk about HISA and people trying to get a uniform playing field, what's your recommendation? What's the conversation now? Instead of everybody having different opinions, how do we get to the point where we need to be to keep racing alive, elevated, and thriving? Or do we all just pick apart all the negatives that they're throwing at us? Like what?
Okay, so I'm thrilled with the fact that they put a panel together to with horsemen, that they're an advisory panel. One named Mark Cassie's on it. I think maybe Dale Romans. There's some horse trainers on the panel, and they're trying to help things. They've been every person I've talked to has been very pro Lisa Lazarus. They say she's done a good job. She's easy to talk to. But I mean, taking some of the stuff away that they want to take away, I don't understand.
Do you think that there should be a uniform, nationwide
sure.
of some type of?
Like, for example, I ship a lot. So I want to go to West Virginia. I don't need to guess what your rules are. It's uniform. All rules are the same. What I don't like about the HISA and with the dollars that they want to operate, it's really leaning towards, to me, it's my opinion. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. You're looking at 3-day week racing and only the high end. So what happens to Charlestown? What happens to a Mountaineer? What happens to Ohio? What happens to these little tracks out in Wyoming and places like that? Flagstaff, Whoop 'em Up Downs, all those little small tracks. Even Puerto Rico. What happens to those if this becomes a game of only the elite? And that's what I see happening, and I don't like it.
So how do we make uniform rules where you can ship out and go to, I agree with that so much. I think that on that level of shipping in and running at different places and what to be expected on the backside should be the same everywhere. How can we get that enforced, or even Horseman's mind open enough without HISA? Without, is it something that's attainable without some higher force trying to change everything?
Boy, that's a good question, because I don't see any, we have a tendency to not work together. So just for an example, the jockeys in New Jersey didn't strike, but they said, we're not riding unless we have whips. And Joe Bravo was the leader. He was leading the charge, and everybody turned their back on him, and he got asked to leave the grounds. So how are we going to get anywhere when we don't stick together?
Gosh,
we don't stick together, and the jockeys are the strongest group of all. So when it comes down to the trainers, they do not stick together. It's not a good thing.
And why do you think that is?
We have to have.
Aside from going out at post and you're competing with everybody, why do you think there is such a division? Because we are in one community, right? Regardless of how many tracks there are, the racing community is really tight knit. Why are we so divided? Why can't we come together?
Because everybody looks out for number one, themselves. No one steps back and say, listen, if I stick together with these guys, in 2 weeks down the road, or a month down the road, it's all going to get better. Instead, they're looking at what they can have today. They don't look in the future, and that hurts everybody. And it's in all aspects of life. It isn't just a racetrack. You see it all the time.
Absolutely. At any workplace, it's the same thing. It's that if you're afraid to speak up because you're going to be the one that with egg on your face and basically asked to leave. Yeah. But we've also found out as the world and as a community that there's power in numbers. So, if you can convince
I
people
would,
of that.
I would love for the horsemen to stick together. And, we don't have to, go out there with baseball bats. We just need to go out there with a common agenda and let's, and try to make it better. I want the game better. I wanted the opportunity for my daughter, if she wants to train horses, to be able to train horses. But, she's going to school to be forensic, the forensic game. And because she doesn't see, a future. When I started, I saw a ton of future, and you could make a path for yourself. These young kids, it's tough.
Well, another thing I don't understand, and maybe you can comment on this, and I know Julie has the same frustration, and I won't use any tracks names, but you got the smaller tracks, and you got people in charge of the smaller tracks that don't care at all. We sit here and are a bigger advocate for them and get people out than the people at the tracks themselves.
If you look at the advertising and the promotion of the game, the racetracks sit on their hands. There are so many opportunities to draw more people into gambling, and they don't take advantage of them. I see it every day.
And the number one thing I always hear, well, we're not Gulfstream. Well, they're not Gulfstream or smaller tracks, you can't compare minor league to major league. And it's like, no, I personally, now this is my opinion, but I feel if you think like that, that's what keeps us minor league. Why can we not open
100%.
Why can we not? And you know what? If I'd have never moved away, I don't think I would have ever been able to think like that. But like seeing other places and seeing how it can be fun, and it can be it doesn't have to be so dark and deep and depressing. And then I look on the TV, and Gulfstream does a pretty good job, I will say, advertising racing, advertising the casino. Sometimes you'll see them, they'll play it together, but a lot of these other smaller entities, it's all racing, and it's like, why can't we go hand in hand?
You need them behind you to promote as much as they can, because they need that handle in order to get your purses up so people can survive. Just like anything, it's the same here as it is there. 20% of the horsemen are making all the money, and everybody else is starving. It's the same in Mountaineer, Charlestown, Philadelphia, Churchill Downs. Those huge purses. I'm very good friends with the racing secretaries, and I hear it all the time. 20% of the guys are making all the money. Everybody else is starving.
So another subject, and we've talked about it a lot with jockeys, but you kind of touched on it. We talk about the mental health for jockeys. How do you said about fishing, how else do you balance, fishing, family, and training horses when you got 40 to 50 horses?
You have to set it up so you have time off. I've always, since the day I started training, I always took one day off a week. And you have to. And my employees get the same. They have to have a day to themselves. Whether you're going to the bank or the post office or whatever you're doing, you have to have a personal day every week.
Absolutely. Now Julie said how funny you are, so now we're going to get to the funny part. Just give us a story or two of your funny horse racing track moments.
A good one. Tell us a good one.
This is not going to be easy. I got to try to think of one. Something stupid I
remember you telling me a story about something about when you were a jockey, and it was a really funny story. And
well, when I was a jockey, I would just say it was a joke. I'm trying to think of that's not a good story.
Well, while you're thinking of it, have you ever ridden
I will tell you a funny story. It's kind of, so in Illinois, the Illinois breeding program, they were not good horses. And they had Illinois bred racers. So the gentleman that I worked for said to me, he says, okay, here's what I want you to do. He says, it's going to be the first time you ride. He says, so I want you to, when you leave I want you to bring a key with you. I said, a key? Yeah, like a house key. So, because you're not going to get to have a whip. So I want you to, gig the horse with the key. And I'm like, really? And he goes, yeah. And I'm okay. Now, this is the first time I've ridden. I've been on the racetrack literally a month. So, and he says, when you leave the jock's room, there's a whole table full of whips. Just grab one. I'm like, okay. Now I've got a key, a whip. I've got one contact to my eye because I'm half blind. And I get out there. I drop the whip, leaving the paddock. And he says, now, you do all this stuff, but you can't win. I'm like, really? He said, no, you got to be second. I'm like, I got to be second? Yeah, because every time I run her, I make, $1,200. And he would run her every 2 weeks, make $1,200. So I'm like, okay. So I leave the starting gate, and we're going down it's just from galloping horses to your first race. It's just, it's like a fairy tale. When you leave the starting gate, it's the most amazing thing you can ever imagine. People don't realize how cool it is to ride a race. So now going down the backside, okay, this is easy. I'm sitting third. Eddie Delahousse is in front of me. There's a bug girl in front of me named Terry Doyne, who actually married Brian Fan. Anyway, I'm thinking, oh, how easy is this? So I pass Eddie, and right about 5 jumps before the wire, I reached to slow her down. When I slowed her down, she sped up. And I won by a nose.
And you weren't supposed to.
And I wasn't supposed to win. I'm standing up on the wire. I'm pulling for all my might. And I'm looking down the wire saying, oh, shit.
Oh, that's hilarious. So wait, did you still finish with the key?
Oh, yeah, I saw everything. I saw the whip. Oh, and then we're galloping out, and the girl's screaming at me, you had a whip. I'm calling the stewards. I'm going to have you taken down. I'm like, oh, my God. What else could go wrong? And then I fell off coming back. So it was quite a first race experience. Wasn't one of the funniest things I've ever done, but because most of those are too embarrassing.
Here, I got a comment that just came in from Jack Fate. I grew up at the Jersey Shore. Monmouth Park is blocks from the beach. The Jersey Shore is wall-to-wall people in the summer. Monmouth should be filled. I talk to people who come to the shore and don't even know it exists. Hardly
Correct.
any advertising. They could do promotions in surrounding towns. Belmar, Asbury
Yes.
Park, Bradley Beach, Point Pleasant are all 5 to 15 minutes away. Yeah.
That's what I mean. To me, the racetracks do not promote like they should.
And why?
They do not.
And I guess, is it a matter of, you always hear, management versus horsemen. Why?
There is no verse. Management is that's their job. They are supposed to promote racing.
So why don't they? Everywhere.
It's every racetrack is guilty. I watch advertisements from different
but you're
racetracks.
like one of the big guys, David. Like, let's be real. Your voice has an impact. So have you ever asked those questions in your meetings? Like
all the time.
Then what do you get? Because people like me just get silent.
Them. We have meetings with, the presidents and stuff like that. And yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And you never see it happening. I want to see the track do good. I want them to persevere, but I just don't see it happening. It's just I don't understand why they don't want to. What is the downfall in advertising more? I don't know. Maybe it's a money aspect. I don't know.
Marketing is not expensive. Here
marketing is so important.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, what we do here on the show, we do for free. We do ourselves, and look at the attention and the audience that we've grabbed. So imagine if we put a sponsor on, or
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, I want the
excuse.
game to last forever. I want if I ever have grandkids, I want them to be able to enjoy, because it is a wonderful game. It's a wonderful industry. And I just think that we just need to, as a group, we need to work harder to make things happen in a positive sense.
Another thing that always comes up with that is it's the casinos, because they make more money for the casinos. Do you think that's part of it? Because to me, okay, if you make more money with the casinos, even if I make $1,000 more on the track, I'm going to do everything I can to make $1,000 more on the track.
I don't know, because, like here, a trainer complained to me the other day when I was at Tampa. Oh, we're not, why are our purses so bad? I said, well, at the end of the day, I pulled up the charts. Tampa did like $4.5 million. Okay. Gulfstream Park did $14 million. Their purses are a third of ours. The handle was a third of ours. It's obvious. You can only give away the money you earn. So yes, the more money the racetrack earns on horse racing, the more we get. We don't get the money from the casino like everybody thinks. The only place that's got a good casino is Philadelphia. They get 20%. That's like crazy good.
That is good. We've got John De Silva. He came in and said it would take a week of shows and you couldn't cover everything of the issues of promoting properly. And
he's it's funny you say Philly Parks, because John De Silva, tries to help out with parks. And, he's got a lot of great ideas, and he works in the business, and he gets shut down with ideas too. So he can really speak.
I think the biggest thing that hurts us is I've noticed a huge change in the people that ran the racetrack when I grew up. It was all horsemen. The horsemen in the parking lot, horsemen with the horseman's bookkeeper, horsemen with the racing office, horsemen with the backside maintenance. Now everything's farmed out. The valet lot is run by a separate company. There's very few horsemen left in the racing office. It's just, like front side even. We have a few people that are horsemen that understand, at Gulfstream Park that work, front side, like for horsemen liaisons and stuff like that. They understand, but there's just not enough horsemen front side anymore.
Well,
I believe I think it makes a big difference.
So how do we do that? You retire from training, we all get together, we all take over a track, and we promote it with all your knowledge.
That's a beautiful dream. The problem is being able to afford that racetrack. They're expensive.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But how do you get, not even buying the racetrack, but how do you get into a position?
How do we get involved to make it better?
Yeah,
man, that's a tough question. I don't even know how to answer. I don't even know where to start.
Well, I want to flip the switch as we're running out of time here. I want to make it a little light. Tell us about your best catch out in the Keys. You said you love to fish, so let's hear a good fishing story.
I mean, we've had days dolphin, mahi. We have days we've filled the box, had great catches. Actually, Monday was a great catch. We went at night shrimping, and when the weather gets cold, which we got down to the 40s, the shrimp let go of the grass that they're living in, and they float to the surface, and they go with the tide. We caught, which we had for dinner tonight, was wonderful.
I miss you guys so much.
we caught a bucket full of 7-8 inch shrimp. They were huge. They were oxymorons. They were big shrimp. They were jumbo shrimp.
Gosh. He would always bring fresh fish.
Oh,
I would be in the barn and I'd hear David got some fish. we're gonna cook some fish. So we have a comment here. I'm an ex-trainer. Sean, this is Charles. David is 100% correct on everything plus funny. We need more trainers like you. Please stay with it. I'm doing what can from horse racing today.
We need everybody to get on board. Everybody needs to be, this is a wonderful game. It's my family. This is all I know. And I just think it's such a beautiful game. I don't want to lose it. And honestly, it doesn't, the future isn't as bright as I like to see it.
John De Silva says, other than yourself, David, who's the best fisherman out of your horseman group?
Oh, the only person I know that's as good as me is me. You know what? That's a tough question.
But you take a lot of the guys out there. So who from
I take
Wall
Ronnie
Street?
Spath, Larry Pilati. I mean, take Louis Saez likes to fish with us.
He's coming up on the show. I think in a week or two. Yeah, Louis is.
Louis, the kid that Sonny Leon went fishing with us. If anybody wants to go, we take them. It's a great It's a great experience. I mean, the Keys are absolutely beautiful.
Is that the secret with the shrimp? You got to wait for the right weather?
You got to wait for it to get real cold. You got to have a good cold snap. And then, like I said, they release from where they are, and they come to the surface. Don't think they just float along. I mean, they're not easy to catch. They're quick. You reach
Sean,
with the net and they're gone.
Oh, no, I'm not a fisherman at all. I'm just wondering if that's the secret. That's all.
So what's the plan for this year, David? Obviously, once the winter meet breaks, like what are insights for the Fawkes stable? Do we have any new big drama candidates coming up?
No. I mean, just the horses I've got now they're all useful horses. We always wait for the spring to see what the babies bring because you never know. I mean, you hope for the best and you try to get as many as you can because I remember when I was I had a really good horse named 41 Carats and I was talking to my mother, God rest her soul, and I said, Mom, a horse like that's like catching lightning in a bottle. She says, put out more bottles. So you need numbers. And that's the only way to get a good horse in the barn. You've got to have a lot to choose to because, like you watch these high school teams, and they move on to college and how quickly they get thinned out because it's tough. You got to be a real athlete to win races.
We've got a question in here from Bob. Do you see Gulfstream Park ever getting the Breeders' Cup back? Why is it not considered anymore?
Because the grandstand's too small now. The area's too small. They'll never handle the crowd. Wow. We get 10,000, we're packed.
How much do you guys usually get now with the Pegasus?
They'll get, I'm going to guess around 5,000 is all we'll get. They'll do a good and handle that because, they'll get, all the off-track stuff.
Yeah. And we have Grandma Horse Racing. The worst day of fishing is better than the best day at work for us regular Joes. Well, that is all I've got, Sean. Anything you want to pick his brain with?
Well, I'll say the last question I have is, so for Big Drama, for example, did you know right away when you got Big Drama that you knew what you had?
Honestly, I was in Delaware a lot that summer because we had a split string. And my ex-wife, she called me and she said, we got this horse in Mr. Queen. Man, he can run. I go, really? And sure enough, I mean, he was everything she said he was. He was she had a good eye for a horse, and he was, he was so well balanced. He was easy to deal with. I mean, the worst situation is race day. If you had to leave him alone on race day, you just had to not mess with him. Walk in the stall, don't put a shank on him. Put his bandages on, hang the bottle on, and lead him over there.
Wow.
He needed nothing.
What about similarities did you see in Noble Drama?
Noble Drama, a total different animal. Noble Drama, way off the pace. He's like, I call him the Silky Sullivan of today. He wants to sit and literally couple stakes I watched him winning. Even going 2 turns, he would lose contact with the field. And you're like, uh-oh. And all of a sudden, here he comes. But he just not even – I mean, he's out of Queen Drama, who was Big Drama's sister. So
And Big
that
Drama is still in
particular mare –
Ocala?
excuse me?
I'm sorry, Noble Drama. He's still in Ocala?
No, I own him now.
Oh, is he at the farm?
Nope. He's at the track. He won his last out. Oh no, I'm sorry. He was third at Tampa's last out. He won his out before that.
Oh, that's amazing. That's exciting. Oh, that's
so
cool.
he's gonna be with us forever. When he's done racing, he's gonna be my barn pony.
Oh, I love that.
Because Policy, my barn pony now, he's getting a little long in the tooth. He needs to move on and retire himself.
I love that. And speaking of barn ponies, I do see Natalie doing well with Louder Than Bombs.
Mm-hmm. She's getting ready to go to her first horse show.
I love that. And she brought him in off the track right when we were moving north. And
yep.
I keep my eye.
Sandra New and Aaron Haberman, great clients. They've been with me forever. They gave him to Natalie and said, "You do whatever you want."
And he looks amazing. I saw a picture of him.
He looks great.
He looks really
yesterday.
great.
She had some pictures of him jumping him yesterday. They were really nice.
I love to see that. You've got John saying, how much Kentucky Derby dreams did you have after winning the Delta jackpot?
A lot. I was very disappointed we didn't get to run in the Derby that year. And we ran in the Preakness. And when Rachel Alexander showed up, I knew I was in trouble.
As did everybody else.
Fast. She was a brilliant animal.
Yeah, so exciting to watch her run. And you're kind of one of the big guys to somebody like me. But have you ever been starstruck? Do you have anybody that you've seen and met in real life and been like, wow, like, you know, have you ever had that?
I don't want to say starstruck, but I have so much respect for Steve Asmussen. Probably, to me, I think, and a guy like Bill Mott. Bill Mott is the horseman's horseman. These guys do it year after year after year with great results. You don't see him on the list for people in trouble. You know, so they're out of the tabloids. They're not there. So I mean,
well, you are too. I don't know you to be a tabloid guy. You're one of the good guys. I don't know you to be a tabloid guy.
No,
I was making a joke with Sean, and we were talking the other day, and I said we were mentioned in different forums, and we were talking about the Pollock report and how all of a sudden I was in the Pollock report, and for the horse that I rehomed, that's actually still doing barrels for this young girl who's on my Facebook, Mackenzie. And I see the horse every single day.
Excellent.
And I was telling Sean though that was like we were in the news there for a second and didn't even know we were in the news or why we were.
But you know what? That is such a great, pat on the back for what you do for the industry. I mean, we all need to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
that's wonderful. And you should be, really feel proud of yourself for, doing the right thing.
Well, thanks. I try. And that's why when I saw that article, I made sure I went right to his email and said, this is so not proper information. And I had to identify the horse and everything, but I'll go above and beyond, especially if they went through me. Every single horse. And I know people think I'm neurotic, and my husband, his eyes cross now.
Oh, no, we know you are. We don't think that.
But every horse that has gone through me, whether yours or somebody else's, I always say, if they get in trouble, bring them back to me.
You have to.
Yeah.
And you know what? And sometimes that even blows up in your face. I mean, you really have to be diligent about keeping an eye on those animals after they leave your care.
Yeah, and then making sure that, kind of following them. And I still follow many that I've rehomed, but just to make sure, like, hey, because times are hard for everybody right now. So I just want nobody to be afraid to think they're the bad guy if they need to bring one back, so I can get them back in a safe place.
I remember when I was a kid, my father, he was not involved with, Peter wasn't even around then, but you don't know how many times my dad would come home, grab the horse trailer, and he'd disappear, and he'd come back, and he'd bring these poor emaciated animals back. And they were not thoroughbreds. They were people that bought riding horses for their kids, and then the kids go off to college, and they literally forget about these poor animals in their backyard. And pretty soon, they're starving to death. They're eating fence posts. And, and my father he brought so many horses home. And you get them healthy and happy, and then they, having a second shot in life.
I actually had that one yesterday. I got a video, and I don't remember the horse's name because I asked you every day because the horse's name had the name in it. It was like something, not a name. Remember, I was going to take him before we moved, and I ended up, he's now a Western horse. Got a video of him yesterday. So It's really cool. Even horses that I've rehomed years ago, people send me videos and I get to see them and we love it. And now my husband, he's like, I thought you were rehoming. I was like, I did. I rehomed him right here.
You got to be careful. They're like laboratory rats. They just keep showing up.
Well, the first one he got me to get, Sean, was Tucker, the mini. I don't know how I got swooned into that. He's still out here. He's the boss.
So speaking of, before we go, speaking of horses, you got two coming up. Tomorrow you got First Place G, second time starter maiden. And then Sunday you got Golden Soda, who's won 2 out of 3.
Yeah, First Place G is to me I'm fingers crossed. I think it's gonna be a really nice horse. He's a Gervin. Gervin's a hot stallion right now. He went through a real funk for a long time. I could not get him right. I was like, and fortunately, Bill McCarty's been very, very patient because it's been a lot longer process than I thought. But his first race, I think it made the light turn on because I'm seeing a different horse now, and I'm pretty excited to see him on the grass. Tyler got off him and said, grass. And Golden Soda was a gimme. A client of mine said, you know what, he's not my kind of horse. You can have him. And I gave him a year off. And he won first race back. And hopefully he'll win again.
Good luck. Hear that, Sean? Hopefully he wins again. That might be your hint.
Yeah, no, I kind of like him.
Sean likes to play the ponies.
Yeah, no, it looks like he's got a good shot tomorrow.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I appreciate you, David. I know you're a busy guy, likes to turn in early. So I appreciate you staying up and jumping on with us and, giving the fans a chance to get to know you a little bit.
I thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, you're one of the good guys. And, I appreciate you just being able to talk because I think that you bring a lot of, your voice is more impactful than I think that you realize. And it's nice to have somebody like you come on and say the things that we've been thinking ourselves. I feel like a lot of bigger names are afraid to speak up because you don't want to get ostracized.
Well, I think they feel pressure from the racetracks that's not there.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
I've never had that. I've never had any time in my career ever had a racetrack ever threaten me with stalls or we're going to throw you off the grounds ever. So, if you're going out, if you're making stuff up, that's different. But if you're speaking the truth, there's never an issue.
I love that. Well, you keep speaking the truth. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
We'll talk soon, but
okay. Hopefully I'm not going anywhere.
We'll be following you on horse racing today, and we'll hopefully have you back on maybe at the end of the year. See how the year went for you.
Perfect.
All right, guys.
Thank you. Have a great night. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, David.
Absolutely. Thanks, David. Good luck.
Bye-bye. All right. Well, that was nice. Let me see. I've got you in the big screen here. Here you go. Okay.
All right. People don't want to see that.
Jack Fate said, thanks. Great show. Good night, Grandma Horse Racing. Another great show. Thanks, guys. Thank you for hanging in there with me. I'm super nasally today. So if you saw me with my tissue box, don't judge me. I couldn't miss this show. And I am sick and under the weather still, but we made it through. So, that was great. He's got such good perspective and he's not afraid to talk. And I love that. I feel like more people need to be not so afraid to speak. Just speak
Yeah,
up.
absolutely.
Like you said, the truth. You know, I think that's something you and I talked about too, Sean, about just maybe between you and I, but about you know, I try my best to not post opinionated posts as much as if I feel something, to make sure that it's factual information, because if it is wrong, even if it's a fact, or even if it's a fact, if it's wrong, doesn't mean that we can't change it, right? But how do you bring change if you don't speak on it? And so many people are afraid to speak on it, and it's such a double-edged sword there. So I love that he, you know, touched on that, and he's a good horseman. I've called him from West Virginia at times and thought something was wrong with a horse, and just he'll always be there to pick up the phone and answer my questions and say, you know, or teach me something. I've literally learned things about my horse over the phone. So I love that, you know, as much as he's done in the industry, he takes time for anybody, you know, that if they ask, he's definitely one of the guys that's there to help. And we've got William show, guys. Thank you. Yeah, but yeah, he's doing great things. So that was good.
Yeah.
What do we got
absolutely.
coming up, Sean? What's next week? What's going on with Jockey Survivor? Where are we at?
Okay, so Jockey Survivor, I ran through it before we got on. We had 6 people alive. 5 people have already passed, have moved on to tomorrow. One person has Angel Rodriguez from Penn National yet, so I'm not sure if he got a win yet or not. I'll find out after this. So we either got 5 or 6 people moving on to tomorrow, which would be, day number 11, I believe.
Oh, here we go. You've got Silvera 1.
Nobody took Ruben Silvera today, amazingly enough.
Funny.
And he won, I think, 3 today.
He's still being printed at William, but their coverage ain't the same. Okay.
Yeah, so tomorrow,
back with Rich, right?
Rich and Charles will be doing Aqueduct. It's Thursday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. College basketball, you got Professor Sides at Professor Sides Twitter, Professor Sides on YouTube, Professor Sides pickswiththeprofessor.com on the website. And then next week, you're back with me.
Back in the saddle. That's 3 weeks. I was getting tired. No, I'm just kidding.
And we got Terry T.D. Houghton coming back. He's been on the center before. He's awesome. Tuesday.
My mom worked with Terry a little bit. He's when hustling books, so he's an old friend. I'm excited to talk to him.
Tuesday, Lori Jean Bourne, right?
Yep, the Outrider.
Yeah. And I had no idea. I knew the name. I had no idea she's won so much.
Yeah.
Jockey, trainer, doing it all. We always say about people doing it all. She's really done it all.
She is a badass. Like, I don't know what else to call her. She's got such a good heart, but she's just like, she doesn't take any shit type personality, but she's a horsewoman. And let me tell you, she has done it all. She's as tough as some of those guys, if not tougher out there. So I can't wait. She actually just had surgery yesterday. I had reached out and made sure that the date was still good for her, that she had time to recover. You know, I didn't want her worrying about us while she was, but she said, nope, we're good. I'll be there. So and she's super thankful that we asked her to come on. So Lori, look, John knows. He said Lori rode when women dominated
Charleston.
Yep.
And then Wednesday we have Willie Martinez on. Both Terry, we're going to call it George Wolf Award week, besides Lori, who's going to be sandwiched in the middle there because they're both nominated for the George Wolf Award.
You know what a perfect sandwich, because she's just as worth the deal. So she's in between 2 great guys that I'm sure she knows. So
yeah, and we've had them both on, obviously, and they're both up for the award and they both deserve it. I mean, we wish we could split that award in half and give half to each, or award one this year and award the other one next year, because they both definitely deserve to be. And
what was it? So who won it last year? Just Sean won 2021, right?
Yeah.
I gotcha, didn't I?
Well, you know what? 2021 would be right? Because 2021.
Oh wait, no, I got myself. Yeah. I got myself.
Yeah, I think. You know what? I struggled to even remember what the award name was, so let's.
You're right. No, you're right, because this past year would be for 20. This year is for 2022. I'm having you guys. I don't feel good.
Well, actually, no. You are right. Joe Bravo won it last year. Deshaun Parker won 2021, I guess, for 2020. Joe Bravo won 2022.
So they do it like a year. Okay, so they don't do it.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
So.
I knew that was something I was forgetting. So Joe Bravo, yeah, that's one of David's best buddies. So.
Yeah, so we got Terry Houghton, Willie Martinez, obviously both deserve it. Daniel Centano, Javier Castellano, and Edwin Maldonado as well are the nominees, finalists.
Very nice. Oh,
So.
I gotta sneeze. Hold on. It's live. You guys, it's like tickling my nose. Okay, I'm gonna sign off so I can go take some medicine and get in bed so that I am well and replenished by next week. Yeah, it's been a successful week. We made it. Thanks, Rich, for helping me out on Monday with Deshaun. Deshaun, sorry I missed you. I do want to say happy birthday to my good friend Kendrick Carmouche today. He turned another year older, so he's a friend here at Horse Racing today also. So happy birthday to him.
Hey.
And
age is just a number because Kendrick really doesn't look like he ages at all.
Oh yeah, he's on fire. He's always on fire. That's my guy there. So yeah, we made it through a week and
back next week.
So it looks like we went wire to wire, and we will see everybody else
in the winner circle.
All right, guys. Good night.